Have you ever been at a party when someone turns to you and asks the classic question, "So, what do you do?" Or maybe you're stuck in an elevator and someone says, "Working hard or hardly working?" For some people, these moments are perfectly normal, but for others, they feel strangely exhausting, even unbearable. If you're someone who hates small talk, there's a good chance you've wondered if something is wrong with you. But psychology suggests the opposite. In fact, there are several reasons why some people naturally reject small talk, and most of them have nothing to do with being antisocial. Let's start with the first reason. Your brain may simply crave depth. Psychologists have developed something called the need for cognition scale. It measures how much a person enjoys complex thinking and deep mental engagement. People who score high on this scale don't find surface-level conversation stimulating. For them, small talk can feel like being served an empty plate at a fancy restaurant. The setting is there, the social ritual is there, but there's nothing meaningful to consume. Research
Whoa,
also
the
suggests
prefrontal
that
is lighting up.
introverted
The
individuals
neural
tend to
pathway,
have thicker
incredible.
gray
This
matter
is
in the prefrontal
revolutionary.
cortex, the part of the brain responsible for deep thinking, abstract reasoning, and reflection. In other words, some brains are literally wired to process the world more deeply. And when those minds are stuck talking about the weather for 20 minutes, it can feel mentally starving. But craving depth is only part of the story. For another group of people, small talk isn't just boring, it's exhausting. When many people engage in small talk, their brains run on social autopilot. They follow familiar scripts without thinking much about it. But some individuals don't operate that way. Instead, their minds analyze everything. Every word, every pause, every facial expression. They're constantly calculating what to say next, how it will be interpreted, when to laugh, and whether their response will be socially acceptable. Psychologists call this cognitive load, when the brain is processing too many signals at once. Rather than relaxing into the conversation, the mind is working overtime. It's like running
Whoa, look
dozens
at all
of
this
mental
data.
background processes
This
during a
information is
conversation
incredible.
that most people
Let's dive
experience
in.
as effortless.
Whoa!
And that's why even a few minutes of small talk can drain someone's social battery. But there's also a third reason some people dislike small talk, and this one is deeply personal. For certain people, small talk feels fake. Think about how often we say things like, "How are you?" "I'm good," even when we're not. Even when life feels chaotic or overwhelming. These social scripts are meant to keep interactions smooth and polite. But for people who value authenticity very strongly, repeating these scripts can feel like performing a version of themselves that isn't real. Philosophers have even described this phenomenon as bad faith, pretending to be someone you're not in order to fit social expectations. For those individuals, small talk isn't just shallow. It feels dishonest. Ironically, research has shown that people often underestimate how much strangers actually enjoy deeper conversations. We assume it will be awkward. We assume it will cross boundaries.
I
But
think I'm
studies
falling for
consistently
you.
show that when
Really?
people
I feel
move
the same
beyond
way.
small talk
I'm so
and talk about
glad.
meaningful
too.
topics,
I
both
think I'm
sides
falling for
usually
you.
report
Really?
feeling more
I feel the
connected
same way.
and more
I'm
satisfied.
so glad.
In other words, the conversations we avoid out of fear are often the ones that create the strongest human connections. There's also another trait many small talk-averse people share. They're comfortable with silence. For most people, silence in a conversation feels awkward. They rush to fill it with words, jokes, or casual observations. But people who dislike small talk often experience silence differently. To them, silence isn't uncomfortable. It's natural. It doesn't need to be filled. And sometimes, silence can feel more honest than forced conversation. Now here's where a common misconception appears. Many people assume that those who avoid small talk believe they're somehow above it, too intellectual, too deep, too serious. But in reality, the opposite is often true. Skipping small talk and asking meaningful questions actually requires vulnerability. Instead of hiding behind safe scripts like, "Nice weather today," you risk asking things like, "What actually excites you right now? What are you struggling with lately? What matters most to you these days?" Those questions open the door to real connection, and real connection requires courage. Research on social relationships has also shown that introverted individuals often prefer fewer friendships, but deeper ones. Rather than maintaining dozens of casual connections, they invest time and emotional energy into a small circle of people who truly understand them. They'd rather have two friends who know their inner world than 20 acquaintances who know their weekend plans. So if you've ever felt guilty for disliking small talk, here's something important to remember. You're not antisocial. You're selectively social. Your brain may crave meaning, authenticity, or deeper connection. And while small talk serves an important social function, it's not the only way humans connect. Sometimes, the most meaningful conversations begin the moment we move beyond it.